My sister gave me an expensive sapphire necklace, but I turned around and hung it on a giraffe's neck. Because in my past life, after I happily wore that necklace, my sister miraculously developed a swan neck and became a world-famous jewelry supermodel because of it. Meanwhile, my neck got shorter and shorter until my chin basically disappeared into my chest. I didn't just lose my modeling job, my boyfriend of 5 years dumped me for my sister. I was on the verge of a breakdown. I begged Mom and Dad for money for treatment, but they called me a monster and drowned me in the river. Right before I died, I found out the necklace was a cursed object they'd bought for my sister. She was born with a short, thick neck, and they did all this just to give her my graceful swan neck. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my sister gave me the necklace. She likes long necks, huh? Well, is a giraffe's neck long enough for her? Sis, hurry and try it on. I saved up my allowance for ages to buy this for you. When my sister, Sarah, handed me that beautiful sapphire necklace, I knew I'd been reborn. The agonizing feeling of drowning still seemed to linger in every part of my body. I almost decked her right then and there. But it wasn't time for revenge yet. To avoid suspicion, I pretended to be thrilled, turning it over and over in my hands, admiring it. Sarah's really grown up, knowing to buy her sister gifts. You, on the other hand, Chloe, are so thoughtless, making your little sister buy you things. Mom's snarky voice chimed in, her disdain for me barely veiled. Even though we're twins, Mom and Dad weren't doing well financially back then. So they kept Sarah with them and sent me to live in the countryside. Before the SATs, I pretty much only saw them during the holidays. I knew they didn't like me, so I tried my best to be perfect, just to make them happy. The favoritism, all of it, I endured, telling myself they were just having a hard time. But even when I was that subservient, Mom and Dad could still be cruel enough to turn me into a monster. And in the end, they tied a huge rock to my feet and drowned me in the river. Wasn't I their daughter too? What did I do to deserve that? Looking at Sarah's smug face, I sneered, holding the necklace up to my own elegant, white swan neck, checking it out in the mirror. You've got great taste, sis. This necklace really highlights my neck. It'll look amazing in photos. Sarah and I both got Mom's pretty features, but her neck was all Dad, short and thick. Her chin could practically touch her chest. If someone wanted to strangle her, they'd have a hard time even finding her neck. It had been her biggest insecurity for years. She tried everything to make it longer, even resorting to dark magic. Sure enough, my comment made Sarah burst into tears. She covered her face and crumpled to the floor, sobbing. I'd barely enjoyed her misery for 2 seconds when a sharp slap hit my face. I saw Dad, who'd come in at some point, glaring at me furiously. You ungrateful brat. If you hadn't hogged all the nutrients in the womb, do you think your sister's neck would be this short? This is all your fault. Apologize to your sister now. My head was spinning from the hit. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see Sarah smirking at me from the floor, her eyes full of defiance. Looking at Dad's furious face and his own short, thick neck, I laughed sardonically. I don't think it was me absorbing nutrients. It's called genetics. My words made Dad's neck flush red, like a little juice box. Just then, Sarah conveniently stood up, looking pitiful. Dad, don't hit Chloe. She didn't mean it. But Chloe, you really are a bit much. You shouldn't disrupt the family peace like this. Hurry up and apologize to Dad. Her tone was so fake, pure two-faced drama. I rolled my eyes. I get hit, and I'm the one who has to apologize? In my past life, I probably would have just caved. But reborn, I wasn't going to let them bully me anymore. Fine, it's all my fault, okay? Take the necklace back. I don't deserve something this nice. When I tossed the necklace aside, Sarah panicked, quickly tugging on Dad's sleeve, urging him to do something. He doted on his precious daughter, so he grumbled impatiently. Oh, come on, it was just one slap. What's the big deal? How many times have I told you to think about your own actions first? If you hadn't run your mouth, would I have hit you? Now hurry up and put it on. It's a kind gesture from your sister. Mom chimed in too. Yes, Chloe, just put it on. Don't disappoint your sister. Looking at their faces, I felt sick to my stomach. I'll wear it. I have to go out for a bit. With that, I grabbed the necklace and left the room. Before I was even out the door, I heard their excited chatter. Yes. I'm finally going to have a beautiful swan neck. That bitch, it's all her fault for stealing my swan neck in the womb. Mom, Dad, you should have just gotten rid of her back then. Sarah didn't even try to hide her hatred for me. What chilled me more was Mom and Dad's indulgence. That damn girl, she learned all her bad manners from Grandma and Grandpa. She's so rude. We've raised her all these years. We've done more than enough. Let her make this one last contribution to our Sarah. I wiped away a tear, sneered, and immediately drove to a wildlife park. I found the giraffe with the longest neck and secretly stuck the sapphire to it. A neck that long should satisfy her. To avoid suspicion, I had an identical necklace custom made and wore it. I don't know if it was because of the giraffe, but over the next few days, Sarah's neck miraculously grew quite a bit. It wasn't quite a swan neck, but at least it looked normal. Seeing such a strong effect, Sarah became incredibly arrogant at home, always tilting her head back. Sarah, I feel like your neck has gotten a little longer? I asked, feigning ignorance. Maybe a second growth spurt. You, on the other hand, will probably shrink back in soon. After all, this swan neck was originally mine. Let me tell you something. What's meant to be will be, and what's not, you can't force. She walked off smugly. I couldn't be bothered with her. I contacted Mike, the boyfriend who dumped me in my past life, to break up with him. He refused, insisting we meet. I couldn't argue him down, so I agreed. But when we met, we ran into Sarah, who was out shopping. The moment Mike saw Sarah, his eyes practically popped out. I heard Chloe had a twin sister. Wow, you're even prettier than Chloe. Can I get your number? It might have been flattery, but Mike's cheap behavior disgusted me. I hadn't even turned into a monster in this life yet, and just moments ago he was desperately begging me not to break up. Now he was openly hitting on another girl. Ugh, what a fickle scumbag. Seeing my boyfriend fawning over her, Sarah beamed, her eyes shining with unrestrained triumph. Oh, don't praise me so much. I'm afraid my sister will get jealous. What right does she have to be jealous? I'm just giving a normal compliment. If she gets mad about this, she doesn't deserve to be my girlfriend. So petty. I was so mad I actually laughed, then rolled my eyes hard and retorted. True. I wouldn't want a guy with a 1-inch toothpick for a boyfriend either. Let's just call it quits. Hey, who are you calling 1-inch? My words definitely pissed Mike off. He grabbed me angrily, looking like he was about to hit me. What? Want me to buy you a ruler? You. Before Mike could finish, Sarah put on her innocent act again. Oh sis, don't be mad. I'm sure your boyfriend was just joking. Besides, he's not wrong. You only have a longer neck than me, you're not better than me in other ways. You need to accept that. See, your sister is so understanding. Why can't you learn from her? With your attitude, who else but me would put up with your rotten temper? Let me tell you, you're damaged goods now. No one would want you even if you were free. Oh, likewise. I rolled my eyes and walked away, ignoring them both. Mike yelled a few curses after me, but didn't follow. A moment later, I saw he'd already exchanged numbers with Sarah. You're so much better than your sister. I love girls like you, understanding, not materialistic. Girls like you are blessed. You'll definitely have sons in the future. How about we date? I almost threw up last night's dinner. In my past life, I must have been blind to fall for such a chauvinist pig. Good. This life, I'd avoid any more drama with him. I hope you enjoy my sister, the giraffe. Sarah's neck kept getting longer. After about half a month, it was almost as long as mine. Mom and Dad hovered around her every day, endlessly praising her wonderful neck. But Sarah didn't seem happy. One day, before I even walked in the door, I heard her crying inside. Why is that bitch's neck still perfectly fine? Weren't our necks supposed to switch? Why hasn't hers shrunk yet? I don't care. I don't care. I want her to feel the pain I've felt for over 20 years. Mom was complaining too. Exactly, honey. Why does that bitch get to be pretty for so long? It's so unfair to our precious Sarah. You have to think of something. Dad was silent for a long moment, then finally spoke slowly. I don't know what's going on either. Let's wait a bit longer. If there's still no effect, then I'll take care of it myself. She's owed us this for a long time, it's time she paid up. Hearing that, I almost fainted. Sarah already had a perfect swan neck, but she still wasn't satisfied. She had to drag me down with her. My body was what I was born with. It's not like I could choose it. Why did I have to suffer all this? Oh my God, honey, don't do anything stupid. Mom shrieked from inside. Then Dad sighed heavily and said in a low voice, I'd do anything for our precious Sarah. Besides, we gave her life. If we want to take it back, she has to accept it. Otherwise, does she even deserve to be our daughter? I leaned against the door, taking a long moment to recover. I couldn't stay in this house anymore. Who knew if one night a knife wouldn't end up at my throat? I didn't even pack. I just went out and rented an apartment. Luckily, I started modeling part-time in college and had built up a decent reputation and savings. Renting a big place near my agency was no problem. But I'd barely found a place and hadn't even moved in when Mom called. Why are you renting an apartment? Do you know how much money that wastes? You're such a freeloader. If I don't waste this money, should I just wait at home for you to slit my throat? It's my money, I earned it. I can waste it however I want. It's none of your business. My words immediately infuriated Mom. She cussed me out over the phone. How can you be so selfish? Do you think the money you earn is just yours? Life doesn't work like that. Don't you have parents? A sister? From now on, you'll give me and your father $3,000 each every month, and another $3,000 to your sister for living expenses. You owe us for all these years. If you don't pay, you can forget about ever setting foot in this house again. I laughed out loud on my end of the call, amazed at how shameless some people could be. What do I owe you? You chose Sarah, left me with Grandma and Grandpa. How much money did you send over all those years? You probably took plenty from their retirement funds, didn't you? Mom was speechless for a moment, then stammered, trying to sound tough. Even if we didn't give you much money, we gave you life. If it weren't for us, would you see this beautiful world? I don't care, you have to give us money, or I'll go to your company and make a scene. Hilarious. I'd rather have never been born. She was demanding money like this now because they must have spent a fortune on that necklace. I heard they even got involved with loan sharks and were probably desperate to pay off their debts. I ignored her, hung up, and blocked her number. Just then, there was a knock at my new door. I opened it to find Sarah and Mike standing outside. How did you find this place? I frowned. We saw you downstairs and followed you up. Sis, that's not cool. You moved into a new place and didn't even invite us for a housewarming party? Sarah tilted her chin up, constantly showing off her perfect swan neck. But maybe it was just me, her neck seemed even longer now, almost a little weird. You're not welcome. I tried to close the door, but Sarah and Mike pushed their way in. Don't be so cold. We came today because we want to use your apartment, Sarah said smugly. Use it. I stared, wondering just how shameless these two could be. The next second, Sarah took Mike's hand and said coyly, Mike and I are dating now. It's not really convenient to live at home. This apartment is right near Mike's office, so please sis, be generous and let us have it as our little love nest. Seeing their provocative expressions, I almost rolled my eyes into the back of my head. Sure. Rent is $5,500 a month, 2 months deposit, 1 month in advance, plus a $3,000 transfer fee. Pay up, and I'll get out of your hair. Before I could finish, Mike scoffed at me. Chloe, can you stop being so materialistic? Can't you just do your sisterly duty and let her have the apartment for free? Yes, sis. You've been mooching off Mom and Dad for so long, it's time you gave back. I won't take it for nothing though. Modeling agencies are already contacting me. When I become an international supermodel, I definitely won't forget you. What a pair of shameless jerks. I think becoming an international supermodel might be a stretch for you. Maybe you could consider dressing up as a giraffe at the zoo, I said thoughtfully, looking at Sarah's increasingly long neck. My comment instantly enraged them. Mike pointed his finger in my face and yelled, Chloe, I'm so disappointed in you. No wonder you couldn't get my love. You're not generous at all. It's because there are too many women like you in this world that so many poor men can't find wives. I doubt it. It's more likely because they only have a 1-inch dick that they can't find wives. Fuck you. Mike lunged at me. I grabbed a nearby vase, ready to smash it over his head. But just then Sarah shrieked. Ah. Her eyes were wide with terror as she pulled a brown hair from her own neck. Sarah was rushed to the hospital. Fine brown fuzz was sprouting all over her neck. On closer inspection, the hairs were arranged in patches, like blocks, with some white in between. She looked just like a giraffe. The freaky part was, whether she shaved it or plucked it, new fuzz would grow back in the same spot within half an hour, even thicker than before. Not only that, but Sarah's neck had grown even longer, looking seriously out of proportion. Noises came from the hospital room. Ah, how could this happen? How am I supposed to face anyone like this? Sarah shrieked, completely breaking down. Where did you find that damn thing? Look what it's done to our daughter. Mom wailed, heartbroken. Through the window, I could see Dad pacing frantically, his short, thick neck flushed red with anger. How the hell should I know? I can't reach that cellar now. Damn it. Just then the doctor came in and spoke to them. We're still investigating the cause of your daughter's continuous hair growth. The medical community has never seen such a strange condition. She'll need to stay hospitalized for observation for now. Huh? How much will that cost? Dad hesitated. They really didn't have any money left. Our precious Sarah is like this, and you're still thinking about money? We have to cure Sarah even if it means selling everything we own. Besides, if we don't have money, we can just ask that bitch Chloe for it. She owes us. Sure enough, their attention turned back to me. I was about to leave when Dad came out of the room first, handing me a bill. Chloe, hurry up and pay your sister's medical expenses. Not even a please, huh? No money. I spread my hands, pockets empty. What's wrong with you? You've been working for so long. Can't you even come up with $5,000 for medical bills? Dad demanded, annoyed. You've been working for decades, and you can't come up with $5,000 either, can you? I remember you guys had quite a bit of savings. Where did it all go? Oh right, her boyfriend was just here. I said, glancing to where Mike had been. Isn't she the girl you liked and admired so much? Now that she's in trouble, shouldn't you cough up 10 or 20,000 to prove your love? Mike, who had apparently lingered, blinked and pointed at himself, shocked. Me? What's it got to do with me? Who loves her? That's weird. And with that, he vanished. Ugh, what a fair-weather scumbag. Hearing my words, Dad's face flushed with guilt, but he quickly put on an impatient expression. I'm not kidding. Your sister's condition will cost at least $500,000, conservatively. You've been modeling for so long, you should have that much saved up, right? Hand it over. No money. Sell the house, I said flatly. You're a monster. If we sell the house, how will your parents and sister live? Dad roared. You're asking me for $500,000. How am I supposed to live? I think you're the monster. The moment I said that, Mom rushed out from inside, screaming and trying to hit me. You little brat. How dare you talk to your father like that? It's those uncultured grandparents of yours who taught you this. Damn them both, those old geezers. Hearing Mom curse my grandparents, my face instantly turned cold. They were the ones who irresponsibly abandoned me, dumping their burden on my grandparents, and now they dared to speak so rudely about two elderly people. Worse than animals. Seeing Mom's slap coming, I dodged and slapped her across the face instead. Ah, you little brat. You dare hit your mother. Dad got angry too and lunged at me. They wanted to suck every last drop of blood from me, crush my bones, and then throw me out like a bag of trash. With a toxic family like this, why bother being nice? Mom and Dad were furious from my retaliation, and the commotion attracted people from other rooms. I seized the moment, plopped down on the floor, and burst into loud wails. Wah! Just leave me alone. I really don't have any more money for my sister. Are you really going to force me to sell myself? That line was explosive. It shocked everyone around, even someone with a broken leg would have crawled out for a look. You brat! What are you saying? When did I ever tell you to sell yourself? Mom panicked, trying to explain, but my wails drowned her out. I really don't have a penny left. All these years, I had to pay the family's rent, my sister's living expenses, and now you want me to pay for her plastic surgery too? We're twins, born barely 5 minutes apart. You dumped me with Grandma and Grandpa since I was little, and kept Sarah with you. I've put up with your favoritism all these years, and now what more do you want? Is Sarah your child? But I'm not? The first part was made up, but the last sentence came straight from the heart. I didn't understand why I was the one abandoned back then. I understood even less why, after abandoning me, they felt no guilt, but instead treated me like an enemy, resorting to such cruel tactics. My performance swayed the crowd. They were instantly indignant, and many started cursing out my parents. That poor kid. Those parents are horrible. So shameless. If it were me, I'd stay far away from them and let them fend for themselves from now on. Don't they love the sister? Let the sister pay. The parents are useless, and the sister is even more useless. Making the older sister pay for plastic surgery? Why not make her pay for their funeral expenses too? Instantly, Mom and Dad were speechless, able to do nothing but glare at me hatefully. The next second, they went into the hospital room and closed the door. Just as the door shut, I saw the fuzz on Sarah's neck get even thicker. She was staring at me with a look of pure venom. After a few days in the hospital, Sarah was discharged. The day she left, she wore a thick scarf wrapped around her neck, completely ignoring that it was the middle of summer. The scarf was wound layer upon layer, like a bucket between her chin and shoulders. Her neck was even longer than when she'd first been admitted. I thought the family was completely broke and had sent her home to fend for herself. But later, I came across Sarah's live stream. On screen, she was beautiful, with fair skin looking absolutely stunning. Her long neck showed no trace of fuzz, and from the angle she'd carefully chosen, its length even looked just right. However, there was a conspicuous ruby necklace on her chest, very similar to the one she'd given me. It didn't feel like a good omen. Someone that beautiful starting a live stream instantly attracted a lot of attention, gaining hundreds of thousands of followers overnight. Soon, she landed her first offline commercial shoot. And the client was my company. As a senior model and Sarah's older sister, my boss asked me to liaise with her and share some experience. On the day of the meeting, she strode into the company, her long neck particularly noticeable. Many colleagues seeing her in person for the first time were dumbfounded. "Chloe, is that your sister? Why is her neck so long? Like a giraffe." "It's terrifying," a colleague whispered to me. "And she thinks it's beautiful," I muttered back. I grabbed my things and went to greet her with a smile. Surprisingly, she didn't give me a hard time during the shoot. Instead, she acted all chummy, like we were the closest of sisters. The shoot went smoothly, and soon it was lunchtime. I was scrolling through my phone in an empty dressing room when the door suddenly opened. Sarah was back to her arrogant self, walking up to me, craning her long neck to look down at me. "Sis, times have changed. You're still a struggling B-list model, while I'm about to become a star. I'm already getting offers for web series." So, I didn't even look up, not bothering to engage. Seeing my indifference, Sarah was clearly annoyed. She grabbed my hand, forcing me to look at her. "Hey, let me tell you, while I'm still starting out, if you kneel down and apologize to me, and then become my 24/7 on-call assistant, I can overlook your previous rudeness to me and Mom and Dad. I might even pay you $5,000 a month." Her grin stretched almost to her ears. You could tell how pleased she was with herself. So shameless. I didn't answer her. Instead, I stared at the necklace on her chest and said, "What's meant to be will be, and what's not, you can't force. If you use shady methods to take what isn't yours, you'll probably face consequences." "What do you mean?" Sarah glared, a flicker of anger and panic in her eyes. "Nothing. You should get some rest. There's more shooting this afternoon." I went back to my phone. Sarah stomped her foot in frustration, glaring at me, teeth clenched. Suddenly, she slapped herself hard twice. Before I could react, she grabbed my hand, and I stumbled, ending up on top of her. Instantly, the door was kicked open, and 5 or 6 reporters rushed in, cameras flashing. I hadn't even figured out what was happening when I heard Sarah whimpering. "Sis, I know you don't like me, but you didn't have to hit me." At the same time, my boss arrived. Seeing the scene, he panicked. "Chloe, what are you doing? Do you know how much negative publicity this will bring the company? I'm going to have to fire you." Then, the reporters swarmed me, microphones thrust in my face, all asking questions at once. "Miss Sarah, I heard you constantly bully your sister at home, often slapping her. Is that true? I also heard that you not only beat your sister but also your parents, and even stole their retirement money to spend on male models. Is this true? Miss Sarah, don't you think your behavior is monstrous? How can you even live with yourself? Seeing Sarah's triumphant expression, I couldn't help but facepalm. Such an old trick. Sarah, I told you before, if you forcibly take what isn't yours, there will be consequences, I said calmly. Sarah's face instantly turned ugly. She bit her lip and asked sharply, "What do you mean?" I didn't answer. The next second, I ripped the necklace from her chest. "Ah!" Sarah screamed, frantically trying to find something to cover herself. But almost instantly, fuzz sprouted densely from her neck, and her entire neck elongated visibly. Soon the fuzz spread to her face. She looked exactly like a giraffe. The reporters' cameras were live streaming. The bizarre, terrifying scene spread like wildfire across the country, causing a huge uproar. All sorts of theories flew around. Sarah was possessed by a ghost. Sarah was an alien. Sarah was just trying to get attention. Eventually, to prevent widespread panic, all the trending topics were taken down. Sarah was confined to a hospital room. Doctors from all over the country were helpless. The hair grew back every time it was removed, and each time it grew back thicker. I heard she'd had a complete breakdown, smashing things in her room every day. To control her, the doctors had to tie her down securely. One day, on my way home, I saw a few burly thugs cornering my parents in a dark alley. "Damn it! When are you going to pay back the 200,000 you owe me? If you don't pay up soon, I'll break your legs." The leader, looking ferocious, held a machete to Dad's neck. The old man was instantly scared out of his wits. Looking closely, I saw a dark patch on his pants. "Boss, I really don't have any money. Can you give us a few more days?" Dad pleaded, his face full of terror. Mom, however, stood beside him looking dazed, as if in shock, completely still. "No money? If you don't have money, sell your house." The thug slapped Dad, sending him sprawling to the ground. "Sell? We can't sell the house. If we sell the house, we'll be homeless." This house was something Mom and Dad had worked hard for 20 years to buy in the city. It meant everything to them. Making them sell it was like asking them to kill themselves. "What the hell do I care? I just want my money. If you don't pay, I'll chop off your fingers." Dad was trembling all over. Suddenly his eyes met mine. The next second he got incredibly agitated, pointed at me, and yelled, "That's my daughter. She's a model. She's been sleeping with rich guys for years. She must have money. Make her pay you back. If not, just give her to your boys to play with. How about 1,000 a night to offset the debt?" After he said that, all the men turned to look at me, their expressions lecherous. Well, a diamond in the rough. Your daughter's not bad looking at all. Definitely worth 1,000 a night. He grinned sleazily and started walking towards me. "You're a real peach of a father, aren't you? So good to me," I said sarcastically, looking at Dad. Though he looked guilty, he puffed out his chest and said stubbornly, "I raised you all these years. What's wrong with asking you to repay me a little? It's just sleeping around, not like I'm asking you to die. Or you can just pay the money. You owe me all this anyway. Boss, do whatever you want with her. If she dies, it's on me." Hearing Dad's monstrous words, my heart sank. I had anticipated something like this, so I'd hired bodyguards. I clapped my hands and a few tall, strong men emerged from the shadows, blocking my path. Now it was the thug leader's turn to be scared. He quickly bowed and scraped. "Oh, it's all a misunderstanding. I didn't mean anything by it." Then he went back and kicked Dad hard. "Are you trying to get me killed, you bastard?" Dad was kicked in the stomach and immediately vomited blood. Then the men started beating him brutally. "Ah, it hurts. Stop hitting me. Chloe, I'm your father. You damn brat, come save me." "Ah." Listening to Dad's screams, I felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. Just then Mom, who had been standing by, snapped out of it. She rushed to protect Dad and started yelling at me. "You little monster. Are you even human? Come back and save your dad." I couldn't be bothered with them. I was about to leave when I heard an furious roar from behind me. Dad had somehow broken free and tackled me to the ground. My bodyguards tried to intervene, but Dad pulled a sharp knife from his pocket and held it right at my throat. "Don't come any closer, or I'll kill this monster." The cold blade was less than a millimeter from my delicate skin. The slightest movement, and it would slit my throat. I'm your daughter. Can you really bring yourself to kill me? I asked coldly. Daughter? You think you deserve to be my daughter? If I'd known it would come to this, I would have killed you with one stroke back then. Dad's voice was filled with overwhelming hatred for me. But all of this was his own doing. If they had cared for me even a little more, loved me even a little more, would things have ended up like this? Bitch, why hasn't your neck changed at all? I spent so much money. It's all your fault. You must have tampered with it. In that case, I'll just have to carve your neck off myself. Dad's crazed laughter echoed behind me. He raised the knife and plunged it towards my neck. The next second, a gunshot rang out. He was shot dead, falling into a pool of his own blood. I had called the police earlier. Seeing the situation escalate, they had a sniper ready. No negotiation, just a direct takedown. I pushed Dad's body aside and stretched my limbs. Now it was time to visit my dear sister. I went to her hospital room and peered through the window. Sarah's neck was horrifyingly long now. The fuzz covered it completely and had spread to her face. Even her hair had fallen out, replaced by fine fuzz. She was tied down securely, so I wasn't afraid of her hurting me. I pushed the door open and walked in. She jumped in fright. Meeting her gaze, I shuddered. Her appearance was truly grotesque. Why are you still like this? Why? You wore the necklace. My swan neck was supposed to be mine. I was going to be an international supermodel. Why is it like this now? Seeing me, she completely lost it, screaming wildly on the bed, though she couldn't move. You mean this? I pulled the fake sapphire necklace from under my collar, a smirk playing on my lips. This necklace cost me a good $200, you know. It's a pretty convincing fake. What do you mean? Sarah's eyes widened in disbelief, staring at the necklace on my chest. Exactly what it sounds like. I had this one custom made. The one you gave me is on it. I pulled out my phone and showed her the picture I'd taken of the giraffe, the sapphire clearly stuck to its neck. In that moment, Sarah's face turned ashen. Even the yellow fuzz seemed to dim. No, impossible. You tricked me. How dare you trick me? You bitch. I'll kill you. Sarah thrashed with surprising strength. If the restraints hadn't looked so sturdy, I'd have been afraid she'd break free. You have the nerve to say that? If you hadn't planned to harm me first, would I have fought back? When you gave me that necklace, did you ever think about what would happen to me? All of this you brought it on yourselves. Shouting it all out, I felt a wave of relief. Ignoring Sarah's screams, I prepared to leave. As I opened the door, I saw Mom walking in looking dazed. Whatever. From now on, I had nothing to do with this family. I was about to leave when I suddenly heard a deafening roar from inside. You monster! You're not my daughter! You're not my daughter! Ah. Mom. Don't. Ah. I jumped, startled, and quickly looked back. I saw Mom holding the same knife, stabbing it viciously into Sarah's neck. The next second, blood gushed out. Sarah struggled violently, then quickly went still. Watching it all, I was frozen to the spot, unable to move for a long moment. Then Mom turned to look at me, covered in hot blood, her eyes filled with desolation. Without hesitation, she plunged the knife into her own neck. After scattering Mom, Dad, and Sarah's ashes in the small river where I had drowned in my past life, I got my life back on track. Unbelievably, Mike shamelessly came back, begging to get back together. I directly sent the evidence of him hooking up with my sister to his company, ruining his reputation. Later, he tried to corner me again, but my bodyguards beat him up. After that, he sheepishly left the city. And so my life finally found peace. From now on, I would start a new life. The end.